Have you ever noticed how the things you desperately chase seem to slip away the moment you reach for them? How the harder you try to force happiness, success, or love into your life, the more elusive they become. There's something different about people who've figured out this backwards law of existence. They've discovered that wanting less somehow creates more. That restlessness you feel when you're constantly reaching for the next thing, that's not failure. That's your awareness trying to show you a different way. If you're watching this right now, you're ready to understand why the secret to having everything starts with wanting nothing. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why your desires might be blocking what you actually want, and how a simple shift in approach changes everything. You'll discover the one mindset that instantly transforms how life responds to you, and why this understanding makes every struggle you've had finally make sense. Think about water for a moment. When you try to grab it with a closed fist, it slips through your fingers. But cup your hands gently, and it flows naturally into your palms. This is exactly how life works. Yet most of us spend years trying to grab happiness with clenched fists. Here's what I've noticed. The people who seem to effortlessly attract good things aren't actually trying to attract them. They're not walking around affirming their worth or visualizing perfect outcomes. Instead, they've learned to hold their desires lightly, present to them, but not dependent on them. This happens because when we desperately want something, we're actually broadcasting a signal of lack. We're telling the universe and ourselves that we don't currently have what we need to be okay. That energy of neediness creates resistance in ways we don't expect. People sense it. Opportunities seem to avoid it. Even we start to feel trapped by our own wanting. But when you shift into a state of peaceful non-attachment, something remarkable occurs. You become magnetic in a way that forced effort never achieves. And this is just the beginning of how this principle transforms everything. If you're still here, you already sense that there's something deeper happening than just think positive thoughts. The fact that you're willing to question the way everyone else approaches getting what they want tells me you're ready for what most people miss completely. What I'm about to share is the mechanism behind why this actually works. If this is resonating with you, please subscribe. It really helps me continue sharing these deeper insights with you. Let's understand what's really happening when you want nothing. It's not about becoming emotionless or stopping yourself from caring about anything. It's about releasing the stranglehold of outcome dependency, that exhausting cycle where your peace depends entirely on external circumstances lining up perfectly. When you're desperately wanting something, your entire nervous system stays in a state of tension. You're scanning constantly for signs that you're getting closer to your goal or moving further away. This creates a kind of mental static that actually interferes with your natural ability to recognize and act on genuine opportunities. But here's what happens when you genuinely release the need for a specific outcome. Your awareness expands. Instead of tunnel vision, focused on one particular result, you start noticing possibilities you couldn't see before. Your intuition gets clearer because it's not being drowned out by anxiety about whether things will work out. There's something deeper here too. When you're not grasping for something external to complete you, you naturally settle into a sense of wholeness that's already present. And paradoxically, this internal sense of completion is exactly what makes you attractive to the very things you were chasing. Take a moment and think about something you've wanted for a long time. Maybe a relationship, a career change, or a financial goal. Now notice what happens in your body when you imagine that you absolutely must have this thing to be okay. Feel that tension, that grasping sensation. Now imagine holding that same desire, but from a place of curiosity rather than desperation. What would it feel like to want it while simultaneously being genuinely okay if it never happened? If you tried that, you probably noticed how different those two states feel energetically. Whether you felt a shift or not, here's what's happening on a deeper level. When you release desperate wanting, you're actually aligning with how abundance naturally flows. Think about the most generous, magnetic people you know. They give freely because they don't operate from scarcity. They're not calculating what they'll get back because they already feel resourced from within. This creates a feedback loop that most people never discover. When you're not needing things to work out in a specific way, you make decisions from clarity rather than fear. You take inspired action instead of forced action. You show up as your authentic self rather than who you think you need to be to get what you want. Here's where it gets interesting. Life responds to this energy completely differently. Opportunities appear that you weren't even looking for. People are drawn to your natural state rather than feeling the pressure of your agenda. Synchronicities happen more frequently because you're present enough to notice and act on them. The obstacles you thought were blocking you often turn out to be life redirecting you towards something better than what you originally wanted. But you can only see this when you're not desperately attached to your original plan. Here's how you actually practice wanting nothing while still engaging with life. It's simpler than you might think, but it does require a gentle shift in how you hold your desires. First, acknowledge what you want without apologizing for it or trying to spiritually bypass it. Say to yourself, I notice I want this thing, and that's completely natural. There's no shame in having desires. They're part of being human. Next, practice this internal shift. Instead of, I need this to happen so I can be happy, try, I'm curious to see how this unfolds, and I'm okay either way. You're not killing the desire. You're holding it with open hands instead of clenched fists. When you catch yourself spiraling into outcome anxiety, pause and ask, what would I do right now if I already had everything I needed to be okay? Then do that thing. This immediately shifts you out of lack-based thinking and into the energy of sufficiency. The key is to stay engaged with life while releasing the death grip on specific results. Take inspired action when it feels natural, but don't force movement when you're feeling contracted or desperate. This is just the foundation. Once you master this, there's a way to use this principle to transform every area of your life. Over the next few days, you'll start noticing how different your energy feels when you're not grasping for outcomes. Within a week, people around you will sense something has shifted. You'll feel more peaceful to be around. You'll find yourself naturally making better decisions because they're coming from clarity rather than desperation. Change happens in layers, not overnight. But every time you catch yourself gripping and consciously release, you're rewiring decades of conditioning. Most people never even question whether their wanting is actually getting in their way. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more. Comment below. What are you ready to stop chasing? I genuinely want to know. And share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes we all need permission to want less.